Hey everybody, this is the Tea and Tequila Book Show with Rocky Kellen and Sarah Fox, and today we're going to talk about the differences between ghostwriting and developmental editing. There's a lot of misconception around the differences and people get things confused, so we really wanted to outline all of the differences so that you can clearly move forward with what you need.
Yes, so I'll kick it off. So ghostwriting, it's like who you're gonna call Ghostbusters, like who you're gonna call ghostwriters. Actually, my husband and I came up with a theme song for this, so maybe a bloopers outtake episode, I can sing it for the world. How you can do a ghostwriters song to the Ghostbusters theme. But anyways, it's where you call people if you want your book written, which sounds obvious, but if you don't actually want to write the book yourself, like you don't have the time, you don't think you're a strong enough writer, you just don't have the inclination, but you still feel like you have a message or a story to tell the world, you hire a ghostwriter and they'll write the book for you. This, mind you, will still take a lot of work. So it's not like it's magically going to be birthed from the ghostwriter's head like Athena came from Zeus's. There's going to be a lot of calls involved. You might even meet in person. It's going to take hours of back and forth between you and the ghostwriter. They'll ask you a lot of questions because they can't read your mind. So that's going to involve a lot of just talking, and you'll have to review things, so it's more written for you. While developmental editing, the editor reviews the work. It might be pieces, it might be the whole thing, depending on how they work, and they'll give you feedback on, like, this scene could be cut, you can add some things on the scene, they might talk you through some of the changes, like rearrange parts of it, they might even change a couple sentences or add a sentence or two for you, but it's not going to be the whole thing written. It's going to be just more like guiding you through the editing process for large content, structural changes for your work.
Absolutely. So one thing that we have seen is a lot of people come and think that developmental editing is ghostwriting. And like Sarah said, it isn't. What it is really giving you feedback, extensive feedback on huge structural issues or big character issues, the bird's eye view of your manuscript. So that way you can really dig in and overhaul your book and make it the best it can be. Like we have another video about the different levels of editing, so go check that out. Developmental editing is one of those editing levels.
There's only one, guys. It's not
only one, and every book requires them all. So, like Sarah said, again, you can have an editor might give you a line, might give you a phrase, extremely small little additions in terms of what the actual editor writes. Now, with ghostwriting, you are going to go through an extensive research process alongside your editor. Okay, so alongside your writer. So the writer needs to know, like if you're writing a memoir, they need to do probably hours upon hours of interviews with you to make sure that they have your story. And then there's going to be a back and forth to make sure that those stories are accurate. And then with nonfiction books, again, they need to know your process. They need to know your step-by-step structure and the business model that you're going after, or they need to know the life lessons that you're trying to teach. They need to know those pieces. You're still giving the content, but the writer is putting it into a cohesive whole that is appropriate for the book format. Now, in terms of pricing and also in terms of, what do I need? Like, Sarah, how about we just like check off some of the things around, okay, if you're X author, this is what you should do. So
do you mean like how much it's going to cost for a ghostwriter versus a developmental editor, just the pure numbers?
Well, that, and also just around maybe before that conversation. And then as with everything in publishing and editing and books, it's all relative. Okay. So we'll just put that out there first. So we'll end with pricing, but first off, I would like to talk about in terms of like if you're X kind of author
Okay.
or client, you need this. So for example, I'll hit up the developmental editor. If you've already written a draft of your book or have huge piles of content pulled together and you just are trying to figure out how the hell to make it look normal, make it look like something that's seamless and fluid and cohesive and just one body of work. And if you are ready to do the work, you're going to dive back in and do more writing and do the restructuring and do the following levels of editing, then you need a developmental editor. You are the writer. You just need someone else's perspective and feedback and critique of your work to really make sure that you're going in the right direction and all of your blind spots are brought to the forefront so that you can really make it strong.
Yes. And then I think the difference then with a ghostwriter is that, let's say you don't think you're a good writer, you hate writing, you only have kind of a vague idea of how to even begin your book, you're stuck, you look at or you try to write it and you just feel like it's not matching your vision and you don't think it can get there on your own without someone actually coming in and like giving it a major facelift, as in completely almost rewriting things. Like, you need hands-on support. You just don't feel like you can do it without someone literally going in and writing it for you or making major rewrites, then you definitely want a ghostwriter. So if you feel like uncomfortable with writing, or you hate writing, don't want to make the time for writing, or you want it to be a certain voice and it's not your own voice, or you want your voice enhanced in a way that you can't get to on your own without even just edits, then you want a ghostwriter. It's basically you want your hand held and someone doing work for you. Mind you, there's still a lot of work because there is the interviews. There is a lot of back and forth. You'll still have to review things. It's still going to take, I think, maybe even the same amount of hours. It's just different kinds of hours where you're talking more than writing. So also, I think if you're more comfortable talking through things, talking to someone and they transcribing it and cleaning it and making it a book, that's great for you. But if you prefer to write, then you should do developmental stuff.
Exactly. Now with pricing, you'll see for ghostwriting anywhere from a few $1,000s, which is, if it's a few $1,000s, really look into what they've created or examples, because that's extremely low for the market.
Yes,
So
that's super low.
of course, there are some people that are really talented and they're charging that, but you just want to make sure, because you want something when you go to publish that's truly something that you're proud of, that you want to put your name on. So in general, ghostwriting of full books can range between $30,000 and $150,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's not necessarily for celebrities or anything. That can go way up beyond that. Now, it's a huge range, just like everything in publishing, but it gives you an idea of the kind of investment that you're going to want to take to go into a process like that. Now, with developmental editing, editors do different things. Me and Sarah have talked about this. Sometimes they charge by word. Sometimes they charge by length of project. Sometimes they need a sample of your work to get a feel for how much work, how intensive the editorial work will be, and they'll give you a quote based on that. And that can go anywhere from a few $100s. Again, when you're looking at the lower end of the spectrum, you really want to make sure that the person's quality, that they have referrals, that they have reviews, that you can see some of their work, all the way up to tens of thousands.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the middle of that, is pretty average. And then, of course, you can find talented people across the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
But developmental editing is actually the most expensive kind of editing for the book writing process, because after you get through that process, then it's a lot about cleaning up your writing. But a developmental editor is going to be the person that holds your hand through overhauling the book itself.
It's huge. It's like a lot of analysis with it. And it's the one that requires most effort on the writer's part, but it's the one where your book gets the most radically transformed. And people are like, why is that more expensive than copying? I could go on a whole thing about that. But no, it's the most expensive. Like, people, also, if anyone's telling you they're charging less than a penny, my general thing is run away, is my policy. I could go on a rant against that, but penny per word, no. Just no. Less than a penny, heck no. Even a penny, no. But if it's, there could be great people with that budget, but they're undercutting the industry, and that's a whole nother thing I could go. Why be wary? Be wary. But as a whole, also, people in editing are moving away from per word rate and just per project. Mm-hmm. Usually people, because it's seen as undervaluing the work, and also it gets too complicated, a lot of it's just going to be per project, because it's just like value package like anything else, like getting your car fixed or something.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now you know the differences between the two ghostwriting and then developmental editing. You know what kind of writer requires each kind of service and the range of price that you're looking at when you're jumping in. So now I hope you're properly informed and can move forward without hesitation and with a lot of clarity.